Better now the City fans are here.
Yeah, it's been a good vibe, really impressed with the City. A lot of fans turning up today.
Honestly, it's a crazy place. First of all, I thought it was so cheap. Like, you're getting a beer, it's like €3. Everyone's so friendly. We're crossing the road, everyone's begging you to go over the road. All the cars are stopping. It's a crazy place. Even the little things like that, it's so nice.
And what are your thoughts now going into this second match of the new Champions League format after a draw v Inter?
Well, it's not quite a Carabao Cup game. We're not going to rotate it that much, but I can see a few players rotating. We're not quite going to go full strength, in my opinion, for Bratislava. It's their first ever time in the Champions League.
We got to get points on the board at the end of the day. Bratislava went to Celtic, got a disappointing result. This is going to be a massive game for Bratislava. The fans in the city have been talking about it's probably their biggest game in their history. So at the end of the day, we've got to make sure we come here as Premier League champions and just get the win.
I think it'll be a little bit naive to try and put a full-strength team out in this game, but I think we'll put a fairly strong team out with maybe a couple players rested, yeah.
We just need to get wins on the board, and I feel like with Savinho and Doku in the team, I feel like we've got to let them go, let them loose, and this is an ideal game to do it. Let's get the two wingers on the pitch and let's go out there, play attacking fast football.
How important do you think a player like John Stones could be in that central midfield role this season?
I think he'll do good. Johnny Stones is good. We've now got Gundogan back, which amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the treble-winning season, he was fantastic in there, centre mid. A lot of fans are calling for it.
I think definitely in some games, John Stones can play in that role. I remember the Champions League finals, obviously a pivotal game in his career against Inter Milan. I think that's one of those games John Stones will remember, but I'm not sure whether he can play that role every game. We'll see anyway, but John Stones, huge player in my opinion.
I'm going with my gut.
What does your gut tell you in terms of score prediction for tomorrow?
2-1 to City, definitely.
For me, we drew the first game against Inter and we need 3 points tomorrow, so as long as we win, I'll be more than happy, but hopefully quite a high-scoring game, an exciting one, big win for City.
I think we'll get the job done. I'm going to go for 4-0
Lots of familiar faces out there in Bratislava. That was some of the fans that were enjoying the nightlife and culture last night. And they are, of course, there to watch this man and his team. Pep Guardiola is in the building in Bratislava. And there you can see the team arriving. Guardiola and Akanji will be giving you the team news in just a couple of minutes. The very first place that you can get your team news is always Matchday Live. In fact, you know what? 10 seconds away until I'm going to give you the team news. And will that man, Erling Haaland, be in the starting 11? We will find out very shortly. Thank you for joining us on tonight's Match Day Live. OK, it's time. Here's your team news. 6 changes from the team that drew with Newcastle at the weekend. And you can see a change there in net to start with. So Ortega Moreno is in. And then you have Lewis, Stones, Akanji and Vardiol. And then Gundogan, who is captain this evening, Nunes, Savinho, Foden, Doku and Haaland. So that is your starting 11 for today. On the subs bench, it is Edison, Carson, Walker, Diaz, Kovacic, Grealish, Bernardo and McAtee. So that is the subs bench for today. So that is your starting 11 and your subs bench for Manchester City in tonight's Champions League game. So 6 changes from the team that drew with Newcastle. Welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. We are so thrilled to have your company, and I am very, very pleased to have the company of our guests, one in particular this evening, because one of the 2 people in the studio came with 3 big tubs of sweets this evening for us. A big tub of chocolates, 2 big tubs of jelly sweets, and made everybody very, very happy. And so with that, I'd like to introduce you to our guests. The very wonderful, very talented, extremely lucky to have him here in the studio with us. It's Nedum, and he's joined by Shaun Wright-Phillips.
What are you celebrating? Just I'm a favourite for today, you know what I mean? Bring in some sweets and everyone loves you. I normally just deal with the food part.
This is true.
You're talking about the food already.
True.
To be fair, Shaun did, last time he was on, get us pizza. It was pizzas, wasn't it, that we ate while we were watching the game, so...
Okay.
Don't get jealous or anything.
Yes.
It's plenty of time.
Thank you both for being here. Shaun, it's lovely to see you. Of course, usually I'm just used to seeing you on clips around the world with the trophy, so it's lovely that you're here in the studio with us.
Thank you for having me. And I don't go away that often.
When were you last away?
3 days ago.
Where in the world were you?
First trip was Tokyo with the trophies. Fan base there, again, is getting bigger and bigger. Second trip was India, which I always love to go to India because we do a lot of work in the communities with the kids and the young leaders. So that was a really special one. And now I'm back here in rainy Manchester.
We are very glad to have you here in rainy Manchester. It's always a pleasure, sir. The last time I saw you, it was pre-season. It was Barcelona, and it was 4 a.m. UK time, and we were going strong.
Yeah, out of context, that probably sounds wild. But what I would say is, that was quite a pre-season game. A few weather delays, and it seems like it had its value because the team started off pretty well, you could say.
Absolutely, and so we are here for our first Champions League away game of the season. And you just saw the starting 11 there, and as I said, 6 changes from the team that drew against Newcastle at the weekend. You can see the starting 11 on your screen now. Nedum, when you saw that 11 for the first time, what was your instant reaction?
No, it's good. You know, you do wonder. Well, I did wonder whether he was going to be making any changes. It's good to see Stefan Ortega getting a chance to have a game. I think Rico Lewis coming back in. That's an interesting one as well. And Mateus Nunes as well, to see him start in the Champions League. Like, obviously, it's not the biggest opponent City will play in the Champions League, but it's a Champions League game nonetheless, needing a win after the first game. So some of those changes, good. Good to see the former club captain in the side again, and Ilkay Gundogan. And the big man up front always gives you a bit of hope, doesn't he, in this Erling Haaland fella? And
we know that Erling Haaland fella loves the Champions League in particular as well. An unbelievable scoring record in it. Well, in every competition he's played in, but in particular the Champions League. Shaun, if we're looking at that City 11 starting right at the back, obviously, as Nedum mentioned there, Stefan Ortega starts this evening. We've seen him playing in the cup competitions, but not necessarily in the Champions League before. So what do you think's the thinking behind that?
The game load. I think there's been a lot of talk about it, whether it be from the managers or the players, that they've bulked it out way too much again this year, especially with the Club World Cup coming up next year. I think it's about managing those players and keeping them healthy and fit going into the back end of the season. And whether we like it or not, that starts from this moment now. We're unlucky enough to lose Rodri. Kevin's already a little bit out. Bob's still in recovery, so we don't really want to lose no more. Plus Nathan, plus the team that we have around this squad is good enough to be able to rotate no matter what game it is. We know what we're going to get and how they're going to play.
So Ortega in net, and then the back four tonight. Lewis, as you mentioned, back in the back four, at least on paper, Nedum. Obviously, I'm sure we'll see him pushing forward into midfield. But in terms of Lewis, how difficult is it? Because we talk about how adaptable he is and how how incredibly intelligent he is. But given he was playing at the weekend in midfield, and on paper it looks like he's playing right back tonight. Just talk us kind of through just how intelligent is that? How much of a skill is that to be able to switch positions in a matter of days?
Listen, for somebody like me who's never played midfield, I couldn't probably be too specific about it. But I think when you hear Guardiola talk about Rico, he talks about how intelligent he is as a player. And I think any job that he asks of him, he asks of him because he knows he's capable of doing it. I think Rico can obviously play in midfield, but we've seen him play full-back and go into midfield. You know, we're talking about like a full England international now. So I don't think he'll be fazed by it at all. And for the way that City play, he'll have plenty of chances to be in that midfield area, to be able to dictate tempo. So it's just a slightly different starting position. But again, he has the qualities to be there. He's a fantastic player.
Oh, I love him. Absolutely love the flexibility that he brings. On the other side of him this evening will be Vardiol. Now, he scored at the weekend, Shaun, which was wonderful, especially for anybody that's got him in their FPL team.
Oh, here we go.
Here
we go.
I don't have him. I do have Rico Lewis, though, by the way. I don't have him. Because I did have him at the start of the season, but I felt like he was playing... We weren't seeing him as forward, which is why I sold him, because I didn't think we were going to get any goals, and then obviously it comes up at the weekend. For you, how was the difference in sort of Newcastle to how he's been playing for the start of the season?
I just think he's getting better and better. I said it to Nedum off air when we was just having a little catch-up. I think since he's been here, every game, for me, he's getting better and better, and he's going to make it hard to be left out of the team, because of how much he gives to the team, not only defensively, but going forward. Like, he's finished there against Newcastle. The way he cuts that defender, a lot of attackers can't do it that cleanly and still have that end product. But I used to always say in pre-season, I've never seen a defender hit the ball as clean as he does with both feet. And I remember being in the crowd, and one of the coaches says, "See, I told you it was left foot." Like, nobody knows which foot is his strongest. He's so confident and pure the way he strikes the ball. And I think he's going to score more goals. So I think I'm going to get him in my fantasy team somehow.
I feel like you've persuaded me that I need to get him back in mine as well, because obviously I'm still top of the league, but Shaun Wright-Phillips is...
It's like
She's doing this again.
points.
She did this last year. Where did you finish last year? Was it second?
Yeah.
Okay, she was giving all these talks throughout most of the season. Finishes second and goes silent, you know?
Yeah, but that's what I said in the group. Like, it's early days yet.
Yeah, don't talk too much.
Our 3 points clear at the top, and these two it's hating on me
That is bad news.
already. In terms of Vardiol, we ever since he signed for City, we've been playing him as a left back pretty much. Are we just kind of forgetting now? Do you think that he was playing, well, you know, for his national team, and previous to this, he was playing as a centre back?
Well, what I would say is I've seen him play centre back and left back. I've seen him play left back for his national team as well. So I don't think he's being put into a position which he can't play. You could make an argument that maybe he's better as a centre back, but then also, as Shaun's saying, you see the way he can strike a ball with his left and his right foot. You see some of his passes that he can make. And if you can do that, it's probably better to have someone that can be that further up the field. And that's where the left-back side of it comes in. And again, you know, all that discussion about, oh, he's a centre-back, he's a centre-back, he's a centre-back. I think it was come when people weren't seeing the best of him. But now you've had an extended period and you've seen the best of him. Well, of course he can be a left-back. I think if he goes into centre-back, I'm sure it would be great. But I think for the way that City play, you know, you said yourself, sometimes like he's maybe more defensive. Sometimes maybe they're in a 3 at the back when they're building out. But the fact that he can do that, and then pop up at St James's Park and do what he does there. He's done it at the Bernabeu, he's done it at Fulham. Like, he can do all that. So I think he's just as good in both, to be honest.
Great, because we like that, don't we?
Absolutely.
We've already said we like that, to have people that are incredible all over the place. So looking a bit further up, Matheus Nunes, who you mentioned before as well, gets a start this evening in the Champions League. Of course, we saw him in the Carabao Cup game. He didn't make a huge impact last season, so it feels like this is a real opportunity for him now, Shaun.
Every chance you get on the pitch in this team is an opportunity to take. I think you can't come into this side or squad and think that if you get a chance, that it's not an opportunity. Even if you're a regular in that team, it's about consistency and performing. And I think Phil Foden and Oscar Bob, in many ways, are the ones that have highlighted that. Even if they were young, they still knew that one opportunity leads to another, and so on and so on. And they just grew in it. And I'm a fan of Nunes, to be honest with you. I think he's coming from, obviously, Wolves to come to Man City. There's a lot different in terms of information load and what is required from him on the pitch for that team. But you see flashes of things that he can do in games. And I think once he gets to the hang of it, and the hope is tonight, we're going to see that more on a regular basis, because when he drives forward with the ball, there's not many people that can keep up with him.
I loved his interview after the Watford game. I don't know if you heard it. And they were talking about, you know, is this your opportunity? And he was like, well, the manager sees me every day in training. I'm always good in training. And I loved his kind of confidence in his interview afterwards. I'm really excited to see this attacking lineup that we've got tonight as well, because we've got Savio and Doku, Foden as well, who I'm presuming is going to be in the middle. And I feel like we've not seen that three start a game this season. How excited are you to have both the wingers back? No,
it is good. I think the profile of players that City have, you know, they can do it in different ways as and whenever they need to do something, whether it's, say, Jack Bernardo or, you know, Doku Savinho, or just a combination of all four. I think it is good. And that lineup that they have today, it does feel incredibly attacking. Yeah. You know, like even Ilkay Gundogan, who might be playing more as like a defensive pivot there, which he can do. You know, this is also one of the best goal scorers we've seen for City across the last 4 or 5 years as well. So, yeah, they're very much going to be on the front foot. You hope that the balance is right, but it's also good to see Phil back, because it has been a slower start to the season for him. But I think Guardiola has said himself, don't forget, this is the best player in the Premier League last season, and he's finding his feet. So if he plays anywhere near as well as he did last year, like some of the link-up play that Doku could receive, Savinho could receive, Haaland could receive, like, it could be a real joy to watch.
Yeah, I loved his comments on Phil in the press conference. Just a little reminder to everybody, okay, he's just the best player in the league last year. He's here. He's coming back. He's with us, and he starts this evening. Now, somebody that we'll find out the Bratislava team very, very shortly, but one certain player you will certainly recognise the name of, because Vladimir Weiss Jr, not the manager, the player, Vladimir Weiss Jr, of course, is a former Manchester City Academy product. So we were very excited to see what he had to say in his press conference yesterday.
Well, obviously, I have the best memories of my time at City. It was an amazing achievement to break through to the first team at a young age with the players that already been in the squad. But of course, with the time and with more money invested, there was better and better players. And with Mancini coming into the team, I think my chances were getting smaller. So I went on loan for a few years. But to answer your question, of course, I'm always gonna watch City, not just because it was my first club, but because they play the best football in the world for me. And I think to watch Man City for everybody, it's a pleasure. So of course I'm supporting the club and following the club. And as I said before, to our journalists, that it's a club that's always gonna stay in my heart.
More questions for the British media? There were before. Okay.
Hi, question for the captain. You mentioned the family that you live with in Manchester when you're in the academy. Can you give us a little bit more detail about where you lived in Manchester and just how the club changed?
The postcode?
Not the postcode, but
it was in Didsbury. I remember it. A place called Winchester Park. I lived with a woman called Barbara and her husband Les, with their kids, with 2 dogs. So I have always the best memories. I left at a very young age, and the beginning for me was extremely difficult, but I fought through it with the help of my parents, of course, and everybody at Man City, which I'm very grateful, because the first few months I wanted to go back. I was really homesick, but I think for every player at a young age, leaving your family is difficult. But for me, it was especially. I can't describe the feelings that I had at the moment, but I remember it very well. That it was difficult, but it made me who I am today. So I'm grateful.
That was Vladimir Weiss, who, of course, was part of the Manchester City Academy. He is now the captain at Bratislava, and he does indeed start this evening. So he'll be playing against City over 14 years after making his final appearance for the Blues. That was back in January 2010 in an FA Cup game versus Middlesbrough. And I'm guessing that you both knew him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he's a really, really nice kid. Like, he's the same age as Micah Richards in '89. I think the same as like Michael Johnson. And he was a really, really nice kid. Had a lot of belief in himself. Very, very good attacker. You know, he had his opportunity in the first team, and at the time he probably thinks he deserved to have played more. But you know, as we get older, we realise that certain situations weren't necessarily going to be in our favour anyway. But the way that he talks about, say, his time at City, the fact he remembers the road, the fact he remembers the place in Didsbury, you know, you're talking about 14 years ago. Yeah. That's nearly half his life ago. But that meant something to him. Himself and that age group that they had, the people born in '89, there was a good group of players. He was a really good kid. And it's weird calling him a kid when he's 34 now, but he was a good player as well. I think he was always good to have around, really good vibes, and he was very much a Mancunian when he was here, which I really enjoyed.
I love the fact that he name-checked Barbara as well. Like, I hope Barbara's watching and was watching that press conference.
There's every chance you're still in contact with them, because I think for a lot of people who came to join the academy at that time who weren't from, say, Manchester, like some of those host families and stuff that they had, the digs, like they spent a lot of time in those areas, and without those people, they wouldn't be able to do what they were doing in their careers. So that's a very important time for a young person. As he mentioned himself, like, he was young to leave his home. So the place he went to had to be his next home. And that's why Barbara, for him, even though it wasn't his mother, it was a motherly figure that made a big difference in his career.
Oh, I love that. Did you have a host family when you moved up?
Yeah, Cheadle Hume, opposite the Jolly Sailor pub in Stockport.
Name check. Love that. Oh, my goodness.
I think this was 40 years ago that he's talking about as well. How crazy is that he remembers that?
Yesterday.
What's your memories of Vladimir Weiss?
Exciting player. I think he came through when wingers were actual wingers that used to have to hug the touchline. You give him the ball and you expect him to make the magic happen. And he seemed to be able to do that on abundance the majority of the time. But like Chief said, with the subject of thinking he needed to play now, and he's homesick, which is what eventually led him to obviously leave the club. It changes at times, and sometimes you just have to be patient. But what he learned here and what he's learned years after that, like you said, has made him the person he is today. And now he's here playing in the Champions League against these old clubs. So it shows you his journey and how he stuck to the way he wanted to play and where it's taken him.
Of course, he's Vladimir Weiss Jr. because Vladimir Weiss Sr. is his dad and is the manager of the club. Can you imagine your dad managing you?
I'd rather not. Dad, I didn't say that.
I totally said that. Everyone get the clip, send that to the man himself, please. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It must be an incredible dynamic and relationship they've got for him to be able to do that.
Me and my dad are never serious when we're together, so
Right.
I don't know if it would work. Like if you saw us the other day, he chucked me under the bus, as you would normally do to your child, so which was quite funny live on air. But no, we just have a weird dynamic. So if he said me to do something, I don't think I'll just most probably just burst out laughing. So I don't think it would work.
I love that. I want you to hug the wing, Dad. What do you imagine the dynamic's like to be managed by your dad?
I think there's another layer to this because he's also captain. You know what I mean? Oh, look at you! Your dad's made you captain. No, I obviously I'm joking around, but it must be something that makes the father really proud. I think his dad would have obviously had a career in football. He's done the managerial part of things, and he would want his son to be successful. And he's watched his son be successful. To be still playing at the age of 34 is a success, no matter where it's going to be. So for him to be able to have him as a player, to be able to have him as captain, and for him to understand what that means to be the captain of Slovan Bratislava, to be representing them in the Champions League, it's a huge honour. And I think for Vladimir Jr., to know that your father really cares about you. And, this moment will mean so much to those two because they're linked to City. It's not just Vladimir Jr., it's Vladimir Sr. as well, giving his kid the opportunity to go and do that. So I think it would be quite nice. And I think for Vladimir Jr., he's likely going to retire at Bratislava. And imagine that when you tell a story to your kids or family, the last place I played was for my father back in Slovakia. And the games we played were in the Champions League against the team where I started at Man City. Football's not very emotional a lot of the time, but that to me that's amazing, to be honest.
I
think I might cry. Are you?
You're a softie. Well done, you.
Listen, I do have emotion. I can see things and say, yeah, that is nice. I just don't really cry too much, though. No,
I love that. Thank you for your insight. And I think if your dad sees this now, I think we should get your dad managing a whole Wright-Phillips five-a-side team. By the way, because we could have you, we could have your brother, we could have your son, we could have your daughter.
We just need a goalkeeper, Ned. You in?
No. Brett could go and goal, no?
No, he's terrible.
Oh, okay.
Love it. Nikki Weaver's on comms tonight, by the way. We could have a word.
Yeah, we'll bring Weaves in. Perfect.
What a five-a-side team, all managed by Ian Wright. You heard it here first. So, Vladimir Weiss, the captain of Bratislava, and he does start tonight. But who else makes up their starting 11? Let's take a look now. So, in goal, it's Takash, Blackman, Kashia, Bajric, Vimmer, Sabidis, Inatenko, Balsegian, Tolic, Weiss and Strelis. That is the starting 11 and you can get the subs there. They are on your screen now. So that is the starting 11 for Bratislava this evening, facing, of course, our Manchester City. It's the second round of the new format of the Champions League. So, that is the starting... Did you like my pronunciations?
Can I say, by the way, your pronunciations have cracked right on. Do you happen to have a man in your ear?
No idea what you're talking about.
Do you have a man in your head?
Alistair Mann is not currently in my ear telling me how to pronounce the names. No.
You seem very comfortable with a lot of those names which you've never seen before. Fair play.
I did my research this afternoon.
That's why you're the best, Nat. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nedum.
Yeah, because you knew the starting 11 this afternoon.
It's the magic of television, Nedum. Why are you trying to? I said nice things about you at the start of this. Okay, so in terms of Slovan Bratislava, they are the champions, of course, of their league, 6 times in a row champions. But this is the first time that they've been to this stage of the Champions League. This is their first home game in this stage of the Champions League. The first game they were fairly thrashed by Celtic. That was at Celtic Park, though. So this, without the fact that they're playing Manchester City, one of the former champions of Europe, it's a really special night for them, Shaun. It's a really special night for the whole city, I imagine.
Yeah, it's more than a special night. I think they're coming to a game where, in many ways, it's a free hit, that everybody outside of football or inside of football expects Man City to win this pretty comfortably. And Nedum's played in away games in Europe, I have, and they're not always easy, especially when that crowd, compact space, will be as loud as they possibly can, making it difficult. City are going to have to try and quieten that crowd down, otherwise there will be a problem, because they're not going to sit back and just let us have it all our own way, because they'll be wanting to pick up points just as well as we will be. Especially
after that defeat by Celtic at Celtic Park in their first game of ever reaching this stage of the Champions League, and they were beaten 5-1 by Celtic. It was a huge night for Celtic that night. Only one change from the team that was so heavily beaten by Celtic, Nedum. But given they're at home, how much more of a threat do you think that's going to make them?
I think any team that's playing in the Champions League or in Europe will be stronger at home than they will be away. You know, to have a fan base behind them, and most of these teams to qualify because they have got really good home records. That's a pillar basically on success, you could say. So they will take it to City, but as you've mentioned, you know, they've won the league 6 times, but this is the first time making it through to this stage. So they don't have a history, they don't have the pedigree. You could argue that realistically they don't really have the players to be able to, say, progress to later rounds anyway. But I think what this kind of shows from my perspective, at times we can be in our own little bubble about, say, the Champions League. And I remember sitting on a sofa in here when the draw happened, and City were the first team out, and you saw all their games, and then it's like, well, from there, nothing else really matters. But there's so many other stories of teams who want to try and achieve whatever they can in the competition. Like, for them, they're honoured to be in the competition. Some of those players have dreamt of being able to play in it regardless of whoever they're playing against, and now they're playing against a team who regard as one of the best in Europe. So they will absolutely give it their all, but they also know that they can't go toe-to-toe, you know, because City have the better players, they have the bigger pedigree, and if they sort of get it wrong, then they'll probably get the same treatment that Celtic gave to them in match day 1. But the fact is, for some of those fans, some of those players, this is the first time seeing it, and that'll mean something to them. So they'll give their absolute all. But again, like I say, in this version of the Champions League, not every team's all is something whereby they'll be involved come March, April, May time next season. But this will mean everything to them, and this is that cliche of, you know, it's a cup final for them.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of that starting 11, there's not too many names that would expect general fans of football really to know. It's not a league, of course, that we often see in this country, or we often talk about in this country. So obviously we mentioned Vladimir Weiss. The only other player, well, 2 players really. There is Kevin Wimmer, who played for Spurs and who played for Stoke as well. And then on the bench, I think there's a name of somebody that you remember. So on the bench is Robert Mack. He also started his career at City, so he was in the academy. I think it was 2006 or 2004 to 2010, so 4 to 6 years he was in the academy. Do you remember him?
Yeah, I remember him as well. He's another, like, City academy had 3 really good Slovakian attackers. There was Vladimir, there was Robert Mack, and there's Albert Roznak, a friend of mine who I played with in America. And they're all really, really front foot, like to get past their players, shots, assists, everything. And Robert, he's sort of travelled around a little bit through his career, but again, he's a full international. And I think when you look at some of the internationals that have been in that Slovakian side, you know, when you're looking at Hamžiks and people like that, these are good players. They've played in big games. Robert has. Obviously, he's a little bit older now. But again, football's one of those things where you take opportunities. And he's gone there, he's on the bench, but he'll be itching to get on the field and show his quality, because, you know, he might not be as good as, say, the best player on the pitch in this game, but he's good enough to be able to score, to be able to contribute. And we mentioned the Celtic game. It wasn't 5-0, it was the 5-1. And I bet that one goal meant a lot to the person that scored it, meant a lot to the team. And now all those players will be itching to get the chance to do the same thing today. So hopefully, just not Robert.
Yeah, well, we know when people score in a European competition 1 goal, it means an awful lot to them.
Here we go. Here we go. Go on, Nat. Let it go.
That's all I've got to say.
Okay, say no more.
And they talk about it for years and years and years after. Yeah.
Listen, unless you've done it, you just wouldn't know. Just remember that.
Yes, you're
Just remember
right. You're
remember that.
exactly right there. Robert Mack and Vladimir Weiss both played in the FA Youth Cup winning team for City back in 2008. I swear I was at that game as well.
I think I was as well, to be fair.
I feel like it was played at Maine. No, here.
Yes.
So I remember it, yes. So they were both in that team as well. So yes, it's going to be a very special occasion. First time that we've played them. First time that we've played a club in that country as well, which I just think is just wonderful. And I loved hearing Pep talk about it as well. So if Bratislava are going to give us a game tonight, Shaun, if they're going to go for either a point or they're going to go for a win, how do they do it? What is their game plan?
How does anybody do it is the question. City's just a team it's hard to beat Man City, but not just stop City from scoring. So I think their concentration has to be 110% for pretty much 95 minutes. If you added on time, I think they're not going to get that many chances. So the chances they may get, they have to be very, very clinical. There's no other way. The chances are going to be limited. They're not going to have a lot of the ball. So I honestly can't see it.
I think the Bratislava players, the management, the fans, they're realistic and understand that the game that they've got here is as tough as any. The Celtic game that they had is something that sort of reminded them of where they are, the nature of the competition. Because Celtic, I don't think they'd won their opening game in the Champions League in 10 attempts or something. Then all of a sudden they're winning 5-1 at home. It's a huge result for them. So I think when you play against teams like City, where you are a heavy underdog, the keys for me are just don't give them anything easy. When someone's taking a shot, can you contest it? When they're passing it around the back, don't get sucked in by a false press. Don't give them stuff. Even though we know the talent disparity, City can do something. I've been a defender where sometimes something happens, you hold your hands up.
You can't do anything.
But if I can say that I tried to tackle them, I made contact with them, I was close, I tried to block the shot, then you've done the most that you can. But if you decide to drop off and let City have all the possession in your half, let people go and take whoever on and not back up.
But they haven't got it enough to be that aggressive in the final third. Because there's
no,
players,
I was talking about Bratislava in terms of how they're defending. In terms of how they're attacking, their chances, as you say, will be so limited. But I think at times in football, you take what you're given. If it happens to be a set piece and you can throw people forward,
of course,
do it. If you somehow you score and it's 1-0, slow the game down to where it's a pathetic pace, like we've seen other teams do against City in recent times.
Yeah, but I mean, that team. You imagine that team's defence, who you just called. We're going to leave the name out of it for the sake of this conversation. Bratislava ain't built defensively like that.
But we don't know. Maybe they are. And maybe, to be fair, it's easier when you're doing it at home.
I don't know, mate. I just can't see anything.
Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong.
Up front.
Look down the camera now and hope that I am wrong. I hope I am wrong, and I'll probably be wrong.
I can't see them stopping those 4.
That's why I said make it as hard as possible. There's no guarantee.
No matter how hard it is, we still seem to find a way to score a goal.
Let's just say there was a game this weekend where somebody had a tap in at the back post in an old historical stadium, and somebody didn't make it hard for the person who tapped it in. The first goal in the game on Super Sunday.
Yeah.
That's somebody not making it as hard as possible.
Yeah, that won't happen again.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that won't happen.
That's my point.
Sorry, we're finished now, isn't it?
We'll finish for now.
Take the show back.
We'll be back.
You guys carry on. I love that.
Over to you, Nat.
And I
Over to you.
very much appreciated that little comment at the end, as I'm sure everybody watching did as well, Nedum. Thank you very much. Thank you. So today, if you did not know, is the 1st of October. It is my son's 7th birthday, and it is also the start of Black History Month. And there will be loads of great articles, loads of great videos, loads of great content coming to the app and coming to the official website as well. But we wanted to take some time this evening to chat to you both and to get your reflections on growing up and obviously the work that you're doing now with the trophy tour and that you do for City in the community and for both of you. So thinking about Black History Month, I'd love to kind of reflect, Shaun, for you and of course for both of you, but starting with you, Shaun, in terms of on the pitch but also off the pitch. Who were your inspirations when you were growing up?
Off the pitch, I think my biggest inspiration was my mother. I think a lot of people expect me to look up to a lot of other famous people, maybe in the football world, but what my mum did for me and my brother when we was younger showed me how strong, in many ways, she had to be. She worked 2 jobs, made sure everything was sorted for us. If we needed to get football, she made sure we was there. And that's why I am the person I am today, and the way my brother is the way he is today, because of that woman.
We're saying some really lovely things on this show.
Well, we're not done yet. We're not done yet, because I'll talk about my mom, my dad as well, because they came over from Nigeria and they brought us over when this was in the early 90s, when I was only like 5, 6 years of age. And we actually lived in Miles Plassing, which is a stone's throws away from where the stadium is now. And at the time, we were one of the first black families or non-white families in that area. And it felt that way. And my mum and my dad, they went through a lot just in terms of their day-to-day life. They went through a lot in terms of their work to try and do everything they could to give myself and my 3 sisters an opportunity to be what we could be. And that, in the time, we appreciated it. But as I now sit here as a father of 3, like, I see how much harder it was for them. And back then, like, they're an inspiration to me now, even though I am very fortunate to be able to be doing more for my kids, being retired at the age that I'm at. Like, that's a blessing for me, but I understand what they went through and I appreciate everything, because without that initial bit of life for them when we first came over, we wouldn't be here today. And then to talk about things from a footballing standpoint, like, I love football. I've loved it basically like my whole life as I can remember it. I remember watching so many teams, so many games, and like, it's only as I look back now that I realise some of my favourite players were the ones who look more like me. Like his dad, Ian Wright, like Thierry Henry's, George Weah's, the Sol Campbell's, there were people like this. Patrick Vieira was a god to me. To be able to play with him when he was here at City, unbelievable. He has no idea how starstruck I was looking back at it. And even coming through the academy, the person who I was sort of like closest to in terms of watching, thinking I wanted to be was Shaun, you know? You don't realise, even though there were a ton of players coming through, there are certain people who I align myself with without realising the reason I was doing it is because they were like me. These people were inspirations to me. And if it wasn't for them, it's in the same way, I don't know if you would necessarily agree with this, but last year when we talk about the WSL and like who the most dominant force was, and we were hoping City were going to win it, I think it's significant that Emma Hayes won it because she's the female manager in the WSL. So more women will likely believe that they can be a manager and a successful one in the WSL because representation matters. People claim that it doesn't until you find somebody who doesn't have representation, who sees a totally different perspective of football. Talking to Steph Horton, for example, all her favourite players from when she was younger were all the men's players because she didn't see any women's players to be able to watch. And I think for myself, working at City in the community now, seeing the diverse nature of the city itself and going out and seeing people, seeing the way that, you know, the communities aren't... All 3 of us are very fortunate to live in nice places and to be able to do nice things. But a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people are really struggling. And I think some of the inspirations within their households and people that they see on TV, people they aspire to be like... I know it's not a red show or anything, but say, what does Marcus Rashford mean to young black people within Manchester? For people who support United, it means everything to them. Some of the critiques that we see are footballing based, but for him and what he is, he's the reason why other people want to take up football. And then from, you know, Rico in North Manchester, what does that mean? Like, this means a lot. So representation really does matter. And at times it's subtle enough to where you don't realise it until you're old enough to be able to take it all in and understand. But Black History Month is... for me, it means a lot because it reminds me about how fortunate I am to be here today, and it's because of all the people that came before. And if one of those people wasn't there, maybe I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing today, whether we're talking about civil rights, whether we're talking about football, or whether we're talking about, you know, just people within your household who do everything they can to give you the biggest and best opportunities in life, which you probably don't even appreciate at the time.
Oh, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. You have to see it to believe it. In most cases, so absolutely. But you say that about those people that came before you, but you are also part of a generation that inspired so many children. Both of you were. How has inclusivity changed, do you think, from when you were, say, a child, when you were in an academy, to what you're to the way football is now?
I think in many ways it's a pathway. I think when I was growing up, say when I was younger, there wasn't much options. I didn't start playing Sunday League until I was 12, 13 years old, I think. And in my area, like Nedum said, the people that I looked up to in the industry, obviously Dad played, obviously David Rocastle, and then you see Andy Cole, Dwight York, that those people are always going to be there. But because they were there, that made me believe I can be there too. And the more people of colour or culture that is in the league just gives the younger generation in those cultures more belief that, yeah, I can be there too. And I think in the Premier League, it's probably the most diverse league within the world in terms of how many different countries and races and everything that's in it. So for me, the more that it happens, the better place it will be, not only for football, but the world in general.
I think football is for all, you know.
Yes.
But sometimes you say it, but you don't act upon it. And there have, through decades, there have been lots of groups of people who don't believe that it's for them. You know, whether we're looking at, say, the South Asian community, for example, there aren't enough players who potentially see a pathway to be able to go and play pro football, to be able to be playing in the Premier League. Whereas I think now there are more efforts being made to try and like go and seek different groups of people where culturally, you know, they wouldn't necessarily want to be a part of football. Like it's trying to break some of that stigma. And again, we see it a lot with, say, women's football, for example. There'll be different sort of cultures within society where women, no, you don't play football. You can't play football. Like, why would I play football? Very soon you realise it's for all. And I think the more diversity that we have within football, the diversity of thought, it's affected the direct quality of the game itself and the people who participate. Culturally, like within the black community, going to football games different to like, say, the white community, but you could both live within the same city and see it completely differently. But when you break down some of those barriers, before you know it, like, no, I can actually go to the game and I can actually have a positive experience there. And from once one group of people's doing it, other people start to do it because, you know, like, to be seen, it does matter. And again, the best places, they make sure that everyone knows it's for everyone. It's not just for this ultra-specific group. You know, every group matters as such, but it's for everyone. And if people feel like it's not, I think these days there are more people out there who are trying to address that instead of just saying, well, that doesn't matter. We'll just move on and we'll just stick with what we know.
Well, I hope so. I do. I live in hope always because there is still, as we know, there's loud voices out there that would vehemently disagree with what we're saying.
Yeah, they can do, but I don't care. Like, I think everyone's got a different perspective, but I think the best people in life, in my opinion, are the one who listen to everyone's in totality. Like, you can be in a position where you say you hate change, you hate change, you hate change, but certain things in life have needed to change. And there have been so many things in sort of our lifetimes and the lifetimes of others, lots of people who are watching the show, for example, where in the past, something like women getting the right to vote was deemed to be progressive. And as we see it today, well, why wouldn't they have the right to vote beforehand? You know, some of the rights that other people have, like, you know, it would have felt progressive and like really radical. Well, it's not, because as time has passed, you've seen it's the right way to think about things. And there'll always be naysayers and people who have a difference in opinion as such, but listen to the people who you're talking about. Listen to what they have to say. And then if you can understand what they're trying to say, very quickly you can understand that you're not fighting like these fake people. These are real people who probably need that first step to allow them to be able to take more going forward.
Yeah.
Real people, absolutely. And the common thing among us all is that we just love the game.
We just great game, cracking game.
We just love the game regardless. Thank you so much. I feel like we could have. I really would have liked to have discussed that with you both for an hour. But there is a football game.
There is a football game.
We all would like to watch as well, because that is what brings us all here. A joint love of football, and specifically a joint love of Manchester City as well. But I so enjoyed that. So do keep your eyes out throughout the month of October, Black History Month, for articles and inspirational videos that you can watch on the website and on the app as well. Now, we mentioned that we are here because of the love of Manchester City and, of course, City taking on Bratislava tonight. Well, one fan has travelled out to watch the game this evening. He is from our Halifax official supporters group, and he's on a right adventure. I love the stories of how fans get themselves to European away games. In the past, myself have taken many different flights and many different trains to get somewhere. So I absolutely love this story. So this is Leon's story. He's travelled to Bratislava this evening via Croatia and Austria, and then a train ride so that he can be at the game tonight. So here is part of his journey.
Currently here at Manchester Airport, preparing for another City European away, this time to Slovan Bratislava. Our journey begins today, Friday evening, with a flight to Zadar, Croatia, then on to Vienna, Austria, and finally a train into Bratislava. I must say, I'm very much looking forward to experiencing not only some Slovakian culture, but Slovakian footballing culture, whether that be in the form of some high-quality football or high-quality dedicated fan support. Either way, it'll be one to remember. Come on, City. With now arrived here in Zadar, Croatia, spending our first day exploring some of the old town. Currently here at the Sant Donatus church built by the Greeks. Very impressive. It's our final night here in Zadar, off to Vienna tomorrow, but first we've come to have a look at Zadar's famous tourist destination, the sea organ. It's quite impressive, you might be able to hear it. Currently here at the small airport of Zadar waiting for our flight. However, something tells me it won't be the last time visiting Croatia. We've had a brilliant time. Everything you could ask for. Great food, great people, beautiful cities and coast. The whole lot, would definitely recommend. Now on to Vienna and then the train on to Bratislava. We've now arrived in Vienna after a 1-hour flight from Zadar. We'll be spending the next 3 hours taking a look at some of the architectural wonders found in Vienna. One being right here. The St. Stephen's Cathedral, built over 1,000 years ago.
So that was part one of Leon's journey to Bratislava. I love that. I just absolutely love the way fans, they're determined they're going to be there and they find a way to get there. And a shout out to Leon and everyone from the Halifax Official Supporters Club as well. Leon and his mum actually travelled out to New York during pre-season and they were at City's pre-season game at Yankee Stadium, and that is where Matchday Live met them. And then Leon let us know that he was going to be going out to Bratislava, but he didn't even have a ticket for the game. He literally was doing the journey, going out for the buzz of like being out there in the atmosphere with everybody. But not to worry, because we sorted Leon out and he will be at the game tonight. We'll see part 2 of Leon's journey a little bit later on. So our thoughts this week, obviously, it's what we've all been talking about non-stop, are with Rodri. Of course, after the injury that he picked up in that Arsenal game, it was confirmed by Pep earlier in the week that he is going to be out for the season after the ligament damage that he suffered in that game. We wish him all the best, send all of our best wishes to him and really wish him a safe and speedy recovery, and we very much look forward to seeing him in a Manchester City shirt again. Thankfully, we are blessed to have such a wonderful squad and so many different players that can step in and try and fill that Rodri gap to the extent that you can fill the gap of a player who should win the Ballon d'Or coming up in a couple of weeks. So on Saturday, we saw Kovacic and Lewis in that position. It looks like Nunes and Gundogan tonight. I mean, who does it? How do we do it? What are we going to do, Shaun?
I think Gundogan coming back is the massive part within it all. But I think if you look at the start of the season when Rodri wasn't playing, I thought Kovacic did that role pretty well for the team. It's never going to be like how Rodri does it. It's going to be a different way, and that just means City in some ways play slightly different. And all the stats, you know they're right there that we don't win that often without Rodri, but throughout pre-season that I was there, throughout the beginning of the Premier League, I feel like we found a way to play without him. And I think in many ways we'll be fine, because one thing you do get from Cover, if he does play there, if you give him 2 yards, he'll drift past you with the ball. And I think if he does that, then we're winning that midfield battle, because now they're outnumbered in those positions, so it frees up somebody else. So it'll be interesting to see who he does play there. But for me, I liked when Cover played there at the start of the season, and I think that will be one of the key players to help fill that spot.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his last season as well. I just thought he was sensational last season. In terms of tonight's game, with having Nunes and with having Gundogan, we mentioned earlier the attacking threat that Gundogan has. I love him as an 8. That's my favourite position of Ilkay Gundogan's. He has played further back. I think he did it for Barcelona at points last season as well. In terms of the Gundogan doing that for a large part of the season, Nedum, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's capable of doing it. You know, he's one of City's most experienced players. He's been hugely successful, and I think we've seen times where he's played alongside a Rodri. If you remember 2 seasons ago when I think City beat Arsenal 4-1 at home, like Arsenal were expecting Stones to step into midfield, all this stuff, and instead there were like 2 6s there, dominated. Obviously it's a tough game for some people to remember, but you know, we selected to play defensive midfield against Porto, and not in Porto, and to be honest, he didn't have a bad game. So I think he's hugely experienced, and I think he will be part of the thought process. But this conversation with Rodri, it's interesting because there are 2 ways to discuss it, and you don't want to go too much either way, because if you try and talk about how you can replace him, all of a sudden it almost devalues Rodri, because as you said, this is somebody who's going to should be winning the Ballon d'Or in 2 weeks' time. So I think it's fair to say, in my opinion, if we're all being completely honest, you can't replace him, whether it's his size, his goals, his presence, his ability to link the game. But that's because he's played basically 99% of all games in the last 2 seasons. But if you ever had somebody that significant missing, the best person to have to try and figure it out is maybe the greatest manager in English football history, in Guardiola, with the squad that he has now. And I think the tweaks, whether it's Núñez, whether it's Gundogan, whether it's Rico, whether it's Kovacic, I think it might change on a week-to-week basis now, which is not what you're used to, but it will be changing according to what the opposition have and what City need to do to break them down. And whereas previously we had probably the best and most versatile player at either getting a tackle in or scoring a winning goal, might not have that now, but still got some of the best footballers in European football. So I'm desperately sad for Rodri, desperately sad. But in the same breath, even though you can't replace him, you just do things in a different way. And the quality they have, I think they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, completely agree. Desperately sad for him, for a man in his absolute and utter prime, for that to happen to any footballer, but to him in his absolute prime, devastated for him. And I completely agree. It's just we accept that we cannot replace him, and we find out a different way to do it. For tonight, as we mentioned, Gundogan, obviously Núñez is there as well. Are they? How do you imagine that? Are they going to be both? Are they 2 6s, as you said?
Núñez.
This is a problem, like, we always do this, and thankfully a lot of people don't really remember what we say before the game. I don't have a clue.
Okay.
Like, as you look at City's back line as well, we've seen Rico Lewis step into midfield, you've seen John Stones step into midfield, and you've seen Akanji step into midfield. So realistically, the only one that's not going to be central midfield is like Vardy. So who knows? Maybe Núñez will be higher alongside Foden. Maybe there's going to be like a blocking midfield when a centre-back steps in. But
maybe they rotate. Maybe they can just rotate between Núñez and Gundogan. They need to decide, like, if one goes, the other sits, and so on. But I think in many ways we're going to have so much of the ball, it's going to allow for people to rotate and manipulate their positions a little bit, and hopefully that makes it harder for the opposing team.
As we sit here as people who watch City every single week, imagine what the Bratislava and like players and stuff are thinking. Like, the only thing I know is I think Haaland's playing in the number 9. Outside from that, could be anything.
Yeah.
Could be absolutely anything.
I do feel a bit cheeky now every week, pretty much playing what I like to call like the formation game now, where I just ask you guys, what is the formation going to be? I swear I'm not trying to set you up.
I think you are, you know.
Yeah.
I think you are. Genuinely, I think you are.
Back in the day, you should just be 4-4-2.
Yeah. It stinks of a 4-4-2 this, yeah.
But now it's in possession and out of possession, so it always changes. So what it looks like to me all the time is where you work in a studio and they're trying to come up with all these different systems, and Rico's going to be here. No, he starts in a 4-4 at the 4 at the back. It's just where he goes when we've got the ball.
Yeah.
That changes everything, and I think for City that is the kicker for us in here, because we don't know what tweaks come in when we are in possession of the ball. And it's as Nedum said before, that tweak will be what helps City win the game. Yeah. So we might think it's Rico today. It could be somebody completely different, or we might just not have any inverted fullbacks at all. So let's see.
Okay, but what we're saying is it's definitely not 4-4-2.
Yeah. Well, no. Pump the brakes. It might be 4-4-2 when they're defending. Because say when Kevin would be playing behind Erling, Kevin would go alongside him to sort of initiate a press, and that'd be more of a 4-4-2. So depends how you like your team formations. You see it when the team's defending and when the team's attacking.
Yeah.
But I think, to sort of mention this again, what I like more than anything is the fact that there are teams out there who get criticised for not having a style of play or identity. Whereas for us right now, we can sit here and talk about 4 or 5 that City have had across the last 4 or 5 seasons, and every single one of them is in play for this game here. And that's like, even though it makes us pundit types look a bit silly, is better than knowing how they're going to play and it's going to be rubbish, you know. So I'm a big fan of it. Like, say Erling could come off at 60, tired, and then before you know it, Phil Foden false 9. You know what I mean? Or Vardy's dropped in, is a second pivot in midfield. No, John Stones has stepped into midfield and Núñez has gone higher. Honestly, it's a privilege to be a Man City supporter. It's a privilege.
We're spoiled.
Yes.
Yes.
Was that a second dig at a certain team?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say that. But I thought it was as well.
Listen, it's a very blue room in it.
You are on fire tonight, Nedum.
Sorry, my bad.
Fire. First the sweets, then the 2 digs, then the emotional stuff.
Sorry, my bad.
This is your best show you've had in a while.
Back next month as well, probably.
Yeah, you're smashing it, mate. Absolutely smashing it. And you know who else is smashing it this week? Have you wondered where our FG is? Well, he is locked in his basement and he is playing EA. Not. We haven't locked him there. He's done it voluntarily, just to say. He is playing EA FC 25 non-stop. I have seen his YouTube channel absolutely blowing up. Well, he went out this week and he got the thoughts of some of our players on their ratings.
Manu's here as well.
Oh, you alright?
Nice to see you, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You?
We've got your rating as well, but first we've got Mateus's, and it's safe to say
terrible.
We're not. Yeah, we're not too happy.
No, I'm not happy with this.
Especially
That's why
the
I
pace.
stopped playing.
Especially the pace. Mateus is one of the fastest players in our team.
Oh, now you say I'm fast.
I still.
In the interview the other day,
No. Don't get it twisted.
Did you know this? Kyle had to
Don't
tell
get it
you
twisted.
that I was fast.
I just didn't pick you for my 4x100. I still say you're one of the fastest. If you're top 5, you're still in there, no?
Look at the top speed.
It's higher than mine, eh? Look, 78.
No, but this is wrong too.
There's no respect, eh? Just because I'm defender.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it is. I'll tell you what, look into that camera there and tell them.
Just because I'm defender, you put my pace in
No,
78.
this is no respect. No, dribbling is
Dribbling is good, yeah.
Yeah, dribbling.
Physical, probably the same, yeah. I think my defence could be higher.
Happy with it?
But 76 shooting for the batsman.
Nah, bro, I don't care, yeah, what you like say, yeah. Bro, I've got a nice shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Gets blocked every time.
We used to pray for times like these.
We did.
We used to pray
It's hard for this, isn't it?
You have, mate. You deserve it. That is one of the best items. You can see, right?
Was it? Like I said, I've got no complaints this year.
Not bad, no?
I think it's all right. The pace. Thoughts on the pace?
It's still
a bit low, right? 67 pace.
no respect.
What about the 39 shooting, Ruben? Look, listen, I'd give you 99 everything if I could. All right, mate. I'm never going to argue with you.
I'm gonna improve. I've already have.
You had a few shots at the weekend.
I booked some lessons with Kevin.
Oh, right, okay. So it'll be 99 shooting next year then. Brilliant.
Yeah.
He got downgraded because he was injured. And what did you do in your first game back, Kevin? Newcastle United away. Yeah, he played like a 93 rated. How do you feel, Kev?
Disappointed.
Yeah, angry.
No, not angry, just disappointed.
I'm furious, to be honest.
Angry is not a good word. Disappointed.
Disappointed. Well, I am furious. Angry, furious. 91 club, no more.
You know what is not worth it? Me being slower than Bernardo. That's an absolute.
I actually think you're better this year than last year when I've used you in game.
I don't know.
I'm not even joking. Yeah.
I'll ask my boy. He plays it now.
Yeah, I play it and I use you every week, but I'm disappointed. But can we just look into the camera and say, I'm angry, and he is?
Disappointed.
Yeah. Next time, EA. Don't upset Kevin De Bruyne again. Simple.
Yeah, you heard it, EA. Do not disappoint Kevin De Bruyne again, please. Or FG. Look how angry that man was. Looked like his bouncer there next to him, didn't he? Like protecting him. So that was, of course, FG going through the players' ratings from EA FC 25. Now, we've not had a little game on this show in a while. I don't know if we've warned these two that we are going to be having a little game tonight, but we are. Let's see if Nedum continues to be on absolute fire. Now, we didn't want you to be left out, so we've got a game where we're going to be testing both of you on your former teammates' ultimate team cards. And there is a couple of surprises along the way as well. So it's from FIFA 11.
I would have been happy to be left out. I haven't been on the show for a while. Every time I'm on, I have to play a game. I'm an adult.
I much appreciate it. I love you playing our games. So throw your memories back to FIFA 11 and we are wanting you both to guess. So
yeah, but
that's
former teammates.
Colo Touré.
That's Colo Touré.
Yeah.
Centre. Oh, are you looking at the ratings or the silhouette?
That was silhouette.
Silhouette.
That was the silhouette.
That was the
okay.
silhouette, the high top.
It's the high top. Yeah, I knew that was his. That was his hair at that time.
I saw Colo Touré, by the way, at the Arsenal game, the 1-1 Arsenal game. He was in the press box, and when City scored, I jumped all over him.
Serge.
And I don't think he wanted me to. Yes.
Aguero, I think.
OK, this is next up. So it is a striker. 86. That would be rude if that is Aguero.
In 11.
In 11. Pace.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I see the bit. Yeah,
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see the outline. I just see the outline. Pardon?
This is 2011, Sergio Aguero.
Yeah.
I think he's disrespected there.
To be fair, I think 88 pace feels generous to me, but sure.
Shot though, 81.
Yeah, but just 88 pace.
This is his first season. I think he would have got better in a couple of years' time. All right, come on. This is 2011. Who's this? So a centre back, 84. Look at that pace, by the way. Who was a centre back that was that rapid?
When was that? 2011?
Yeah. Header only 75 as well for a centre back. What do you think?
It's tough. That.
Can't dribble, can't pass.
It's not Vinny, is it? It's not Vinny.
I feel like Vinny would definitely have had a better header.
This is 2011.
2011.
Who are you thinking of?
No, wait. I'm trying to think.
Centre back.
So look at that. It's somebody very physical that can't pass, that's fast.
Hey, don't do that now. Don't do that.
That's why I'm not looking at that.
Don't do
because
that. That's toxic now. That's bad.
That's saying the way's right.
Harsh. 2011, that
has to be Vinny, though. I
think it might be Vinny.
It has to be Vinny.
A shooting is only 70, so I'd be surprised.
That's quite high. That's high for centre back. That's high for centre back.
I'd be surprised if that person ever scored in Europe.
In fairness, no, because in fairness, like 2011, I don't know if Vinny was hitting 84. I don't even know if he was then down as a centre back at that sort of time. Actually, no, I just got Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny.
Say Vinny.
It's you.
Why is he shooting 70?
Why is the shirt shirt?
Forget that. Why is that shooting?
Settle down.
Settle
down. Settle down. Now, I like what you did now with the European thing. Settle down. Settle down. Settle down.
Talk to me, Chief.
Settle down. This is she was saying, I can't pass as well. She's how cheeky she is.
Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't expect my defending to be at 70.
Listen, man, I'll take that. Someone take a picture of that, send it to my kids. Say that Daddy's real. Listen, I was quicker than 87 as well.
Yeah,
you telling me Aguero's 88 and I'm 87? You lost your mind, honestly. That's a disrespect.
Right, next.
Hey!
Pace 92. Pace 92. Hold on. That's wrong. And my shooting's only 2 above yours.
Bro, they're disrespecting you so hard there.
This is the problem.
It's because it's second coming in, though, isn't it?
No.
First time round, it's numbers higher.
Look at your dribbling, by the way.
Generous.
That's
defending should be higher than 50 as well.
It's about 91, I would say, my dribbling.
And the heading.
Why have they give you 79? Like,
I scored a header, you know, at Upton Park.
Yeah, that's what.
I got up like a salmon, by the way. Bearing in mind, it was against Rob Green, right, and nodded him down as well. So I got over the ball.
I bet he's never got over it.
For you, man. Justice for you. Justice for you.
Right, next up. Centre back.
That's company, yeah.
That's Vinny.
I mean, you can tell by the shape of the head, surely.
I was talking about
it's a clap. I was looking at the clap.
Yeah, OK. 82 pace for company. What's his best? There's 82 defending. You take Vinny in a race there? Because it says you would.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about that.
OK. Shot 65. Thank God he didn't see that before the Leicester game, clearly.
Oh, maybe he did.
Because that was 100.
Listen, it's not zero. It's not zero, is it? Remember that.
100 in that game.
Yeah. Big
this
moment.
is 2011 company as well. Just to remember, of course, those stats will have gone up over the years. Have we got any more? Oh, OK. Another centre-back. We're really pulling out the defenders here. What do you think?
I'm just looking at the.
I'm looking at the hair as well.
Yeah, the quiff.
It's not Nastasic, is it? No, he wasn't there. Was it Nastasic there in 2011?
Talk me through the stats.
Oh, it's Jolian.
Lescott, yeah, Lescott.
Jolian, yeah.
Lescott.
Jolian.
Hey! Do you know what it was? It's heading 88. That could be 100.
88 heading.
Yeah, that's Jolian, yeah.
That's phenomenal.
That's when I was like, those are a few goals in there. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
I hope he's listening. 76 pace.
I prefer not to speak with him.
Why, Shaun?
I prefer. Go and say what you need
Jolian
to say.
was strong. 76 is quite fast. I didn't think he was that fast. That's all.
Look at Nedum's face.
That's it. Hey, it's your own people sometimes.
We definitely showed him.
It's your own people sometimes.
You slated his hair when you didn't know it was him.
No.
Yeah,
I said,
you did.
whose is the hair? I was thinking of like Nastasic with a little quiff.
Okay.
And then it's when I saw the head and I was like, that's Jolian.
Little quiff.
Yeah. It's
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be showing him.
Go
Next. Left midfield.
Hands on hip.
Oh, I think I know who that is.
Pace 85. Ooh.
Shot 84, heading 61, dribbling 88.
Left mid. Oh, it's not David Silva, is it?
Yes, it looks like Merlin.
Do you think that? Did you think David Silva that?
Yeah, but
Saying nothing. It's your game.
You said you knew who it was.
I don't know who it is. I'm just guessing in my head.
Yeah, I'm
But then passes in 78 though.
No, that's low then, isn't it?
But no, it's
I don't
not.
know.
It's 2011.
Pace is 85. Pace is 85. Let's dial it back.
Yeah.
Dial it back.
2011.
David. 2011.
Everybody got better.
Everybody got better. Pace 85.
No, but he didn't get. The person wouldn't have got quicker.
I don't know.
Left midfielders on.
I know nothing.
So this is Mancini's City.
It might be David.
Okay. There is an actual football game coming up in
Go on.
14
Who's
minutes.
it? Who's it?
It is.
Pace 85, David Silva.
You were right.
Pace 85, David Silva. With all due respect, how is his pace 85 and he's passing 78?
Hold on a minute. Why wouldn't you say that about Jolien's pace, but you're going to say that about David's pace?
What do you mean? No, but it's 85. Who do you think's quicker, Jolien or David?
David.
Nedum, just take a moment as well. Keep that shocked face, because 2011, David Silva rated 4 less than you.
Hold on, what does she mean by that? Didn't know about him yet. Didn't know about me. Icon. Wow, I feel seen. I feel offended.
Right.
Pace 90. That's Tevez.
Tevez, yeah.
This was the highest card for City in
Tevez
2011.
He's just not pace 90 though.
He's not?
No.
Shooting 95.
It's definitely Carlos.
Yeah.
It is definitely Carlos.
Oh,
He was unbelievable that year, wasn't he?
Yeah. Class guy. Love to see him again too, man. What a guy. What a fella.
Yeah.
It was funny, wasn't it?
Proper
The only
fella.
person that used to call me Shawnee, right. He never just used to call me Shaun.
Every time?
Yeah, every time he saw, yeah.
Good memories. Good team.
What did he call you?
I don't know. Can't remember, to be honest. But yeah, it's a good fella, man.
Fast. He just called you Speedy.
Well, apparently he's quicker, so
87.
you don't need to worry about my speed, so.
Thank you. I really enjoyed that. That was fun. See, it's good. It's fun to play the games. Oh gosh, look at Nedum's face. Right, quick subject change. Earlier in the day, our youth team faced Bratislava, of course, in the UEFA Youth League, and a huge congratulations to them as they won 4-0. It was a brace from Jacob Wright and goals from Matty Warhurst and Matty Henderson Hall. Here's the thoughts of Jacob Wright.
Jacob, 2 goals today. It feel good to get some points on the board as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, 2 weeks ago we played Inter at home and it wasn't an ideal outcome. We started well, but some sloppy mistakes during the first half, and it was too big of a task to come back. But it was good. It was good today. We played really good performance from the team all round. We didn't give them too much opportunity to hurt us. We controlled the game, and of course, it's always good to get on a score sheet, especially with 2 goals today.
And obviously they were defending quite deep. There wasn't many spaces. Did the penalty come at just the right time, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had chances in the first half, but nothing too clear cut. They defended well first half. They moved quite well as a unit. They were really deep and compact. So to get that goal before half time, it really gave us that bit of boost into the second half, and it meant that they had to come out a bit more, and it left some more gaps for us to exploit in that second half.
And you took your time on that penalty. Is that just you blocking everything out? Is that your way?
Yeah. It's just more of a routine of me just going through, locking the mind in before I take the penalty and making sure that nothing's rushed.
Yeah. And your second one was quite a sweet strike as well. Are you happy with that?
Yeah. Very happy with that one. Come out to the edge and to just almost control and caress it into the bottom corner. It was a good finish. It's something that we work on in training, so it's good. It's good to see it come out in the game.
And it's just nice to get going in this year, because it's a new format and we don't really know what we're going to need to sort of progress yet. But the more wins, the better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know where that puts us in the table, but I think it's top 16 we need to be in to get to the next round, to the knockouts. So we'll definitely be there, and we'll make sure that with the remaining games that we do the best that we can to make sure that we're as high in that table as possible.
And West Ham next, who are flying, aren't they? Yeah. So a different challenge this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a different challenge. I think it's a top of the table clash. I think we're first, they're first, we're second. It's going to be a good game, and hopefully we'll play as well as we did today and get the result we did today.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Jacob. Thank you.
Congratulations to the youth team today on that 4-0 victory. Such an important victory today because in the opening game they were beaten 4-2 against Inter. So it's very similar to the Champions League format. However, the first team play 8 games and the youth team just play the first 6. But it's still the same league format as well. So that was a cracking victory for them today. And it's been an incredible few weeks for the Manchester City Academy as well, of course. In the Watford game, we had Caden Braithwaite, who became the 31st Academy player to make his debut under Pep, which is just unbelievable. And then a stat that we saw at the weekend, which just blew my mind when I read it. It was just unbelievably proud for the Academy. So, this weekend in the Premier League, 23.5% of all Premier League goals this weekend were scored by players that played for Manchester City's 2020 FA Cup Youth Team 11. How insane is that? 23.5%. So the breakdown of that is, obviously, Cole Palmer got 4 goals, which helps. Liam Delap got 2 goals for Ipswich. Morgan Rogers scored for Aston Villa. And Taylor Harwood-Bellis scored for Southampton as well. And just to add in part of that squad as well, James McAtee, who, of course, is in the squad for this evening, and Oscar Bob. I love that stat.
That's a tasty squad, that, you know. That's a tasty squad. That's a very impressive stat.
That was just 4 years ago.
It's very, very impressive.
Seems a lot of flair in that team, I'll tell you that much.
Seems like it's a good academy, eh?
Oh, no, it started way back when, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Here, the two of them sit here as products of that. So there they are, the Youth FA Cup winning team from 2020, scoring 23.5% of all goals in the Premier League. But it really is, in all seriousness, Shaun, a real testament to the Academy and the work that the Academy had been doing, not only to bring players through into the City first team, but the amount producing these quality players that are now playing across the Premier League.
I think, in many ways, that's a special thing about the Academy. They don't just equip these kids with abilities to play Man City's team. They equipped them ready to be able to go to pretty much any other team within the Premier League or in the football industry and be able to perform. And I think a lot of that showed this weekend. And I have to give a good big mention to Liam Delap, because I thought in that game, some of the stuff I saw him do, leading the line, it was quite special to see. And coming from the City Academy, people better beware, because it seems like there's more coming from what I saw in pre-season.
Yes, absolutely thrilled for him and all of the players, of course, that have come through the Manchester City Academy. So we are less than 8 minutes now away from tonight's kickoff. As always, you'll get full match commentary for free on the Manchester City app with Alistair Mann, and he is joined by Nicky Weaver. So we're just a couple of minutes now before kickoff. We turn our attention back to tonight's game. Nedum, how are you feeling now? What sort of game are you expecting?
It's probably going to be one where City have a ton of the ball, Bratislava make it as tough as they can, and it's just a case of when can City get the first goal. I think if you get an early goal, there might be a second early goal, but as time passes, as is the case with football, the crowd for Bratislava will get really into it. But I think City are good enough to be able to manage that, and I think in the end, I'm quite confident now, even though we've not seen them play Bratislava before, but this is Man City, so, you know, it's a nice feeling to be supporting them.
Are you as equally confident, Shaun?
I'm going to echo everything Nedum said. I think it's just a matter of them stopping City from scoring early and trying to get a fast break and maybe catch City when we're not set up or warmed up into the game yet. But like I said before, I can't see them giving us too many problems, I should say.
Given this kind of new format with the top 8 that qualify automatically, the next 16 going to an additional playoff round where there'll be 2 more games, we've talked about fixture backlog, it feels really, really important that we do not end up in that 16. We need to be in the top 8. So is it a must-win already?
A must-win. I think it definitely would help, obviously, but I think there'll be a team who finishes in that top 8 who didn't win 8 games. I think there'll be teams in there who've probably won 5 or 6. That's the way that I perceive it right now. But because it's so new, nobody will really know until, say, we get to the halfway stage. You can see where teams really are when things are levelled out a little bit. But I think every game that City play feels like a must-win to them because they're good enough to be able to win those games. I think the only time they think otherwise is when circumstance happens in the game and, you know, maybe they're penned back in or something like that. But as they start every game, the objective is to win. And it doesn't matter whether they're playing Bratislava or they're playing Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. So, yeah, it's going to be business as usual for these guys.
OK, give me a quick score prediction, please.
3-0. Us, by the way.
Thank you. I feel like I didn't need to ask there. Yeah.
4-1.
4-1, love it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much to both of you. Really, really enjoyed the show tonight. Really great. Absolutely loved it. And thank you all for joining us on Matchday Live. If you're not currently on the Manchester City app, get yourself over there now to listen to the commentary from Alistair Mann and from Nikki Weaver. We will be back at half-time and full-time, where, of course, we'll be hoping to be talking about Manchester City's first victory in the Champions League this season. First of many, we hope. The players are in the tunnel now, so we're going to go over to Alistair Mann. Enjoy the night, Blues. Come on, City.
Thank you, Natalie. Teams in the tunnel, awaiting the signal to come out to this cauldron of noise at the National Football Stadium. Slovan Bratislava on the verge of a little history this evening, their first ever UEFA Champions League proper fixture. They did participate in the European Cup, as it used to be named, of course, but this is their first UEFA Champions League home game, and the atmosphere befits that particular statistic. City know that this will be a proper away test. Well, after being held by